Hello everybody and welcome to the Whiskey Dictionary. Tonight I'm going to be talking to you about Glen Grant 12. Now this is a single malt speyside whiskey that was actually sent to me by a viewer named Draken. So Draken, thank you, you magnificent best. No, I'm just kidding. Alright, so Glen Grant was, the Glen Grant distillery is in the Rothes Speyside region, and it was started in 1840 by two brothers, James and John. Now, both of these brothers were smugglers. You know, they were illegal whiskey makers, as you hear quite often in a lot of these old scotches. And they actually had a chance to kind of do things the proper way. So they actually started a legal distillery, and they picked a nice spot in Speyside and started making their own thing, and it was coming pretty good. Years and years and years later, when both of them passed away, the distillery got passed down to John's nephew, named James, actually. And James was an interesting guy. He has a couple of claims to fame to his name. He was the first person in the Highlands of Scotland to own a car, which kind of cool. But even better, he had the first distillery that used electric light. And when I started thinking about that and what that actually meant to not have to either be limited by the sun or to have candles open around essentially flammable liquid. Just everything about that seems like a really good idea. But anyway, there was one more thing that he did, which is actually fairly important. He innovated this, or he was an innovator, he came up with this new type of still, which was really tall and slender. And that kind of gave Glen Grant this this unique characteristic of usually when you have stills that go up really high, tend to get a lot of fruit out of them, and you'll see that with this. All right, this particular whiskey was introduced in 2016, and it is 43% ABV. It is chill filtered, which makes sense. Sometimes I personally don't care for it. I don't really care if people chill filter. I don't really care if they don't. I've never really picked up too much of a difference. I know that some people can. Personally, I don't. I prefer to have something natural, but when you have such a light whiskey like this, a little bit of cloudiness really could throw somebody off if they've never tried your stuff before, so I kind of get it. Either way, Glen Grant also offers a 10-year-old, a travel exclusive 12-year-old, an 18, and the Major's Reserve, which someday I'll try. All right, let's go into the nosing and the tasting here. Now, you might notice that I have a new Glencairn, and these are for sale. I will have information in the description of how to buy them, but I will say that they're slightly more expensive than some other whiskey tubers because I actually have engraving on the front and the back, and you can check that out. I'm sure I'll put up a video of some sort to advertise it. Either way, I also have very limited amount of the batch 1 coins if you're interested. Check out the description. All right, let's go ahead and give this a nose. I love Speyside whiskeys. Sometimes they're just, everything about them just feels very refreshing, you know? Like a nice light fruity note on the nose is always, it just makes me happy, you know? Almost like Booker's does, but that's a whole different kind of happy. All right, this smells to me, first thing I'm getting is pear and a little bit of apple, which those two tend to go together pretty well. And also a runner-up when those two are present usually is honey. And I am getting honey. Now there's two other things that I'm getting out of here, but actually there was one that was a little weird that I just want to confirm. Sliced almonds. The reason I say sliced is because when you have like a handful of almonds, it always has like a dusty characteristic to it, right? But when you slice them, something about them, it's a different smell. Try it for yourself. You'll know what I'm talking about. All right, so sliced almonds, and then a bit of citrus in there, maybe like a lemon or, yeah, I'd go lemon. Yeah, definitely lemon. All right, lemon coming from that side over to there, I think. All right, anyway, let's go ahead and give this a taste. Cheers. This is a tasty, tasty whiskey. It's got some layers to it, which is really nice. There is also a little bit more of a burn than I would expect at 43%. Could be because I haven't had more than I had, one before we started. It wasn't my tasting one. I just always like to have one drink before my first filming of the night. Always tends to make it go a little smoother. But there's a little bit of layering going on. And I'd say that the first is kind of it's almost like a caramel apple. But more so if you think about maybe like a Dutch apple pie. There's like a graham cracker to it as well. I'm trying to think of how those three could combine. And what I'm picturing in my head is like graham cracker crust, some apple filling, and then just caramel drizzled over the top. Not necessarily the pie top, just a bowl full of graham cracker apple drizzle caramel yum. And actually, one of the other notes that I put in here is vanilla, which kind of goes along with the, that representation. Vanilla is definitely way further back than the caramel or the graham cracker. All right, I'm going to take one more sip of this, actually. So the bite is significantly dulled on that second one, so I would almost ignore that. I think chalk it up to kind of just really getting started for the night. Anyway, I would say this is a beautiful whiskey. I don't remember how much this cost, but I'll put a price from Total Wine up on the screen somewhere. I think it was like high 30s or possibly mid 30s, and I would buy this all day long, at least where I am. I'd say that if you can't get it for that price, I would probably top out on this one around $48 or $50 tops. Like that's a stretch. Maybe more like mid 40s. If you could get this for under 45, I think that you should absolutely buy this. Let's see, what else? I'm just trying to think if there, I'm trying to make sure I don't have a bias because I enjoy this whiskey and it was like given to me as a gift. And I truly don't think so, because I've let this one sit out for a little while. As you can see, it's about half empty, and I'm trying to remember exactly what it tasted like when I first opened it up, and I'm pretty sure it was right along the same lines. Because I like to do, actually, you guys probably do this at home, or if you don't, you should. When you first open a bottle, I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but why not? When you're at home and you're tasting something for the first time, pour that first glass, try it, see what you think, write down some notes. By the time you get down to about this much, unless it happens to be like a day or two later, but let's assume it's going to be like 3 or 4 weeks. Take your notes again, see how much they changed. Oxidation really does make a huge difference for whiskey. Oxygen is just like the #1 changer of whiskey, and distillers will tell you that as well. Have a great rest of your night, and cheers.